Hello there. I am again filming this last video because I am like still so awake and I probably should go to bed around like 2:30, 3 o'clock because unfortunately I have to go to work tomorrow today. Right. So yes, okay, so the last question that this particular non asked me was, what advice do you have for people entering / looking to enter a relationship with someone that identifies as trans? Now I'm assuming this is coming from the idea or from the perspective of someone who is either cisgendered or gender fluid, gender queer, basically not trans. Um, so I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 major bullet points of what to do. I'm gonna try to keep it short. Number one, again, like I said in the 10 things video, and I keep reiterating, and that is that a name and pronouns are really important, aka the name is the first thing. If you're actually legitimately interested in forming a relationship with this person, um, they want to be seen as who they are, which comes down to my number two, which is respect. So, again, you just look at them as who they are. You know, I'm Dexter. Male pronouns. That's it. That's just assumed. That's it. No questions asked. I accept you for you and your pronouns. Accept me for me and my pronouns. Very simple. That leads to number two, which is respect. And that is what I want to say is this: is that you respect. The easiest thing to do is respect this person for who they are, not who they were or who you want them to be. Very simple. Just respect me for who you see me as now. If you knew them as one person, get to know them as who they are now, and be open and willing and show them that you're willing to respect that. But at the same time, it's not all about them, it's also about you. So also be willing to communicate that you want them to be able to respect your wishes as well. Which would lead me to communication, and that is that, like any relationship, you want to have communication, which is honesty at all times. If you're going to want to be involved with someone who's transitioning, especially if they're not stealth or if they're not like post-op or they're non-operative, something like that where they're still having to deal with their birth parts, and there's dysphoria to that. Be honest. You know what I'm saying? Be honest as to why you're interested in them. Be honest about how you feel about them, what you're willing to, compromise on. What are you willing to do? Just be honest and be willing to talk about it. But, like I said, you also be interested and be willing to voice your needs as well. Maybe there's something that you personally don't like. There's just things you have, like general relationships. I don't like this, or I'm concerned about this, or I have a question about this. Communicate. Always talk to them, because if you don't, then you're going to have questions, secrets, and it's not going to end well for both of you. And you're going to run the problem with the next one, which is trust. And you're going to have to run into situations of the emotional trust and then the sexual trust. Excuse me, and then respecting their process. And if you can trust that they're willing to be honest with you, and they can trust that you're willing to be honest and supportive of them, then you can then be part of their process. And that helps emotionally and sexually. Now, sexually, trust is very important, and that actually depends on person to person, but that does lead back to communication and issues with sex, which I'll cover at the end. But emotionally, again, this comes out to the next one, which is coming out and outing, and that's very important. Some people say, I don't want you to tell, what I'm saying, it's as if my birth gender never existed. I don't, what I'm saying, and you have to understand that, which leads me to the next thing, which is boundaries. Trust, communication, all these kind of go together. So, they also have to trust that you can respect their boundaries, which, treat it like a normal relationship, because it's a normal relationship. There are normal relationship boundaries, like, I don't like anal, or I don't like it when people call me a nigger, or I don't like it when people use the word penis. Some people don't. I don't like the word panties. It's just awkward. Like, I just don't. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a relationship thing. It's just a personal thing. Like, please don't say anything gross. But, you might tell someone, like, I'm kind of like with, in BDSM community, like soft limits and hard limits. Like a soft limit would be something you're like, I don't know if we might be able to push that. Hard limits are absolutely no. So, it's just like, I have a hard limit to being hit. Hit me or you're done. But a soft limit might be like, rough cuddling or something. Rough sex, fine, whatever. I don't know. I'm saying? I don't know about how I feel about rough sex. You can still debate that later on. So, these are just general relationship boundaries, like, or I would respect it if you not talk to my sister, because I know you think she's hot and you keep talking about how she is. Like, please don't refer to people as hot around me. That makes me uncomfortable. Things like that. Just general relationship concerns. So we've covered the name and pronoun respect, general respect, boundaries, trust, communication, and now we're going to run into the issues of opposition, coming out, and sex, and actually one more, and that is like research together. So to make it easiest on you, I would say that if you're interested in someone and you don't know a lot about what it is to be trans, you don't have to have an honest, like, personal understanding of it. But if you have an idea of what their process is, um, and they feel they can trust you and you can communicate, you guys can do relationship building exercises about researching together where you don't feel like you have to research it all on your own and they don't have to explain it to you. If you get together and you do research, let's say you do the research and they're with you and you say, well, I want to understand, what I'm saying, like if you're dealing with a trans man, like what if, I don't understand top surgery, or I don't understand bottom surgery, and I'm like, that's the first thing, I don't understand how bottom surgery, like, how does that work, or I don't understand, how you get your name changed, like what does that affect? If you're dealing with someone who's, male to female, how do you change your voice? What does that mean for you? Where you can do research together so that they don't feel like they're explaining everything, but you don't feel like you're on your own. So if you do research together, it can build trust and it can build the communication. Um, we're going to do with coming out, then opposition, and then sex. So with coming out, the general rule is this: you do not out them unless you have their permission. You don't. Is if they're even if they look so outwardly one way, you always refer to them as their designated gender, like me as a man, or someone as a woman. You always refer to them as the designated unless they tell you otherwise. Now, there are some situations where they may not be out to their family, or they may not be out to your family, or they may be out to, because the coming out is always an issue. If you're not at that point of stealth, then coming out may be a problem. Don't out them. Never out them. You know what I'm saying? Either let them have that conversation or let the two of you have the conversation together with someone. But don't tell your friends, oh my goodness, like, please try not to. And let's just say it's okay if you tell your friends if they know that your friends aren't going to go crazy about it. That's murky waters, and that changes from person to person. But again, refer to them as who they are, not who they were, not who you think they are, not who you want them to be. It is really just about, I'm a guy. Just refer to me as a guy. And if someone asks the questions, then you can ask him yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's not my place to say that. Opposition. You're gonna run into opposition if your family says, is that a girl? And you're like, no, that's my boyfriend. You're like, no, are you a lesbian? And of course you're gonna have that issue. Possibly. Or, is that a man? Like, are you gay? Like, or, what's going on? I thought you were a lesbian. Something awkward like that. Your partner's going to probably need support with their family, their friends, people in their lives. You're going to need support for all of that as well, especially if somebody, if someone, like if I had a significant other, I am very much not stealth because I'm doing a lot of advocacy right now. So I don't mind not being stealth, but if I'm with someone who, it's different, what I'm saying, for the significant other. So, that is something where they might actually experience discrimination because they'll be like, oh, you're a lesbian. You're like, no, I'm with a guy. And they're like, no, 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 no. And then they go on to that. So that is really about that you and your partner both need to support each other in their feelings and dealing with opposition together instead of against each other, or you did this to me, or you don't understand. Bring it to, this is how we handle it together. So working together. And the last one is sex. And sex, again, there's a lot of boundaries. Some people, with trans men, some, when they're preoperative, some still have their vaginal entrance, and they call front hole. There's a lot of different names. Some say don't touch it. I don't want anything to do with that. Please, just as it happens. Some don't mind. They say go for it. I enjoy it. It depends on the person. That goes back to communication and trust. That really depends. There are some, trans women who are like, until they get that surgery resolved, they don't want anything going, because that's kind of like you can't even hide from that. It's like all right there in your face. So you never know. And regardless of whichever trans person is, some trans people don't like it when you touch their chest on both ends because there's either nothing there or there's too much there, you know what I'm saying? Or they just don't feel, it's the dysphoria. So it's not you, it is just the dysphoria. So you really need to have that conversation of what can we do? And I will admit, if you're dealing with someone who's transitioning, especially if you're dealing with a trans man, or you're like, oh, I want to feel your boobs, that's probably not the way you want to approach that topic. You really have to work on the way you want to say it. And if it's something, again, that they're dysphoric about, you may be able to find a way to mildly relieve that sexually, but that requires a lot of trust, a lot of communication to be able to touch a part of their body that they're really, really vulnerable about to make it less of a negative thing. You may not make them like their boobs, but or like their penis, or like their vagina, or whatever, but you may be able to help them to deal with it and find it pleasurable sexually while they still have it. And that again, that's a really big, seriously trust thing. And you can be adventurous. You know what I'm saying? You can be adventurous. Figure out, well, if I can't, touch this, or you don't want me to touch this, or this is uncomfortable, find out new ways. Be sexually adventurous, sexually excited. It's the same as if another relationship. It's pretty exciting. You get to learn people all over again. So, figure that out. But respect the limits, find the limits, communicate about the limits ahead of time if you know you're going to get sexual. And then make it not a mission, but make it a fun thing where it's a team thing where you both explore each other sexually and you have fun. So that's my advice. I'm sorry that it's again another like 10-minute video, but I really wanted to make sure I covered this to really help people who are involved with someone who's transitioning. Because regardless, even if they're post-operative, unless they're like fully post-operative all over the place, which is very few and far between, you are going to run into some of these issues. So I'm just hoping that if you're interested in someone who's transitioning, this helps in some capacity. So again, let me know your thoughts, for real, guys. Everyone, guys, gals, everyone in between, and all of the things. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know what your opinion is. Let me know how, what I'm saying, make your own response video to the same questions. And again, I will hopefully talk to you all later. So again, feel free to submit and ask questions and do all the cool things. And I'm hopefully going to go to sleep soon. So I'll talk to you guys later. Guys, gals, everyone in between. I'll talk to you all later. And good night, hopefully.